Good morning. Today we have with us someone who has not only made a mark in the culinary world but has also put Mangalore's food in the national map. She is the one who has built her own space Hugo, which has become a beloved cafe in the city. She has carried her passion for food with authenticity and heart. It's my pleasure to sit down today with chef and entrepreneur Shriya Shetty. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ma'am, can you take us back to very start? Like, when did your love for food and baking begin? Back then, did you ever picture yourself becoming a chef?
I mean, if I have to go back to the start, it's an extremely long story because I come from a family of food lovers. And so essentially, I think food has always been in my blood. But no, I did not really want to be a chef ever since I was a kid, although I loved eating and cooking. But that was also because being a chef was not seen as a career option to a lot of Indians, I think, in the early 2000s when I grew up. So my aim in life was to always earn a lot of money and finally open a restaurant. I didn't know I could be in the profession throughout my career. And as I grew up, it started, the love for cooking also started developing because both my parents are great cooks. My sister is a great cook. So it really was like, I think I was in that zone where it was nurtured quite a bit. And yeah, I've been baking kind of professionally, as in like doing it as a hobby first, taking orders just for pocket money and stuff like that since I was 16. And yeah, it's been quite a long time now. I think 15 years or so.
Okay. So, ma'am, you first studied commerce, but then found yourself in professional kitchens and hosting pop-ups across India. So, what was that shift like for you, and what gave you the push to that leap?
So I chose commerce because it's the easiest degree to do when you're confused about what you want to do in life. And I come from a middle class family, and I think back then India also did not have purely culinary courses. Like we do now. In fact, in our own city, in Manipal, we have some great colleges doing that. But I knew one thing that even though I wanted to cook, I did not want to do the whole hotel management degree where you learn everything from, say, your housekeeping to service and all of that. I really wanted to do a course that was focused on culinary arts and that was available only abroad, and I did not have the money or the means to kind of go at that point. So I decided I'll do commerce, finish my degree. During that time, you do get a lot of time when you're doing commerce. So I did internships in hotels and restaurants to kind of figure whether this is really going to be my calling. Because to be very honest, it's a difficult industry to be in, and if you don't love it, then there's no point, right? So during college, I did my internships, and then once I finished college, I decided that this is what I want to do, and I'll continue doing it in the way that I started, which is by working.
So, ma'am, many people know you as the ghee roast girl, especially for reviving dishes that Mangalore almost forgot. What drives this connection to heritage cuisine, and why does it matter to you so much?
So I had done an internship in Bangkok called in this restaurant called Gagan, which back then in 2015 was the world's fifth best restaurant. Now it is on Asia's number one list in the Asia's best restaurant list. And while I was there is when I kind of realized that. So my training was in an American European kitchen where I learned to make breads and all of that. That's how you have Bupo today also, because my training comes from there. And when I went to Gagan, I realized how little we as Indians also know about Indian food. And I was there working with about 16 to 18 different nationalities. And I think I also only knew about like dal, rice, kori roti, butter chicken, Rogan Josh and all of that. And honestly, I was quite embarrassed with myself that, being an Indian, I don't know enough about my own cuisine. And that's when I decided that at some point I will come back to Mangalore to do research. Uh, as fate would have had it, I came the very next year. So 2015 is when I had this, and I decided 10 years later. So my partner Varun, who we work together now, and we had both decided that we'll both like grow in our careers, and after 10 years move to Mangalore and set up something and do all of that. This was in 2015, but in 2016 February, both of us were in Mangalore, and we've never left after that.
Ma'am, since 2017, Buko has become a go-to cafe in Bangalore. Love for its warmth and artisanal touch. What was the idea you started with, and how has Buko grown and changed over the years?
So I'll tell you very honestly, the idea that started with was, so Varun and I came to Mangalore for research, right, on Mangalorean and Karnataka food. We basically just wanted to document old recipes, visit, homes, understand, our cuisine, meet with all the various communities that live here. Once we moved here, we soon realized that research doesn't pay you anything. And I think we were both our parents at the time. They gave us an ultimatum saying that you either find a way to earn money or I am from Mumbai, so my mom was like, you either come back to Bombay or go back to whatever you were doing. And to be very honest, at the very baseline, that's how the bakery started, because when I started off as a cook, my training was in the bakery department. So I was quite strong with breads and pastry, and uh, my hot kitchen skills were very, very modern, which I don't think the Mangalore market back in 2016 was ready for. So we decided that, okay, if we need to find something that also gives us income on the side, a bakery is a good thing because people here love their dessert. There was no good bread in the city at that point. Like, all of it was the sweet Mangalorean bread. And being from Bombay, I have grown up eating like pav and stuff. And we decided, let's just do that. We did workshops. It was like an artisanal kitchen where we also did hands-on classes to teach people how to cook and make and all of that. And that's what started off. It started off as something called Pumpkin's Kitchen, and we used to bake only on order. And then after that, we moved to open a really small storefront. So we took quite some time to build this business, because if there's one thing that works in Mangalore, it's, I think, trust and loyalty over years. So if a business can sustain for a longer time, even if it's smaller, you will have a lot more regular customers over this, churn that you would see in cafes in like Bombay and Bangalore. And I think if you come to Buko, you will see 90% of the time we will have our regulars. Our team knows where they sit, they know what they're going to order. Our regular knows who to talk to for what. And I think it's just evolved. It was something that was supposed to be a side business, to be very, very honest. But because we got so much love from the people in the city, we kept like evolving, growing. And I think uh, we were really young when we started the business. I was 22. Varun was 26. And we had absolutely no business background in any manner. So we took our time to kind of learn it and, build the team. We started off with him and me being the only two team members for like 3 years. From dishwashing to marketing to deliveries to cooking, everything was done by the two of us. To now slowly building it to a team of like, we have people, 15 people. And the beauty is that I think the answer to the success of Buko, however small it may be, is the fact that I don't need to be here on a daily basis and it will still run the same way because my team is that amazing. And the regulars miss my team more when they are on leave than if they don't see me in the cafe. So if anybody is on leave, there are certain people who come and ask what has happened, why aren't they here? But yeah, I love that we've built that kind of a community in Mangalore over the years.
So you recently got to represent Mangalore and Kusi at the Ambani pre-wedding, standing alongside 2,500 chefs. And what was the experience like, both for you personally and for Mangalore's food scene?
I think, I mean, obviously it was a really big honor to be part of it because although there were a lot of chefs from Karnataka, from Mangalore it was just Varun and me who got to represent, the food on that large, that bigger stage. I think what helped us is that, see, we are very low-key people, to be very honest, in Mangalore, and because of the Ambani wedding, I think a lot more people got to know about us that we live in Mangalore and all of that, because everybody was following every detail of that wedding, and we were in there. In fact, sometimes we would see our Instagrams at the end of the day and realize, oh, this happened here today, because it was a work trip for us. But we were there for 6 days. We got to feed like the most traditional Mangalorean breakfasts and meals to a lot of people. And I think it really gave us a chance because when you feed food to people who travel the world and then they come and just to give you an example, like a neer dosa is such a basic thing for us, right? If I talk to people and they're like, what you cooked at the Ambani wedding? I'm like, neer dosa, sajji ke bhaji. And they're like, what? But when you give it to a person who's never seen anything like that, it is a revelation, and that is the beauty of Indian food, right? And micro regional cuisines that we are trying to represent. It's the fact that there's so much diversity. You really don't need to modernize it to do anything with it. You just need to be super proud of your heritage and the fact that we've learned to use the most basic ingredients to make some of the most wonderful dishes. And I think I was one of the few chefs who probably didn't use truffle oil and truffles and scallops on the menu, and we used the most basic Indian pantry to create dishes, and people still love it. So
That's nice to hear. If you had one dish from Yugo that really captures who you are as a chef, which one would it be, and what is the story behind it?
then I change my menu every 3 months. That captures who I am. We keep evolving, get everything done, but I think for me it needs to be the Mr. Bob's fried chicken bun. It also represents what I love to do as a chef is to basically keep everything really simple. I hate like putting 20 elements on something, dousing something with cheese and ketchup and sauce and vegetables just to make it look bigger or fancier. Uh, the Mr. Bob's has been on our menu for the past 7 years now, 6 or 7 years, and it's one of the dishes I just cannot take off. But and it's not just because people love it, but it's also because I love it so much. It's just a well-made bread, which is like we do a milk brioche. It's the correctly, perfectly fried chicken, and it's just served with like garlic, aioli, and lettuce. So there's no tomato, onion, slice of cheese, and all of that. So I love keeping things simple, and I feel when you keep things simple, there's no room for mistakes essentially because you can't really hide. If your chicken is not fried properly, it's not going to hide under a mountain of cheese. If your bread is not proper, it's not going to go unnoticed. So it helps us remain, make sure that the quality is up there. And I love simple food, yeah. At the end of the day, it's good. It's simple food. Eat it. And our hot sauce with it is like my favorite. Yeah.
It was a great time speaking to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Your story is a reminder of how passion and love for tradition can create something truly special. We wish you and Yugo a continued success, and we can't wait to see how you keep shaping the Mahiran food scene in the years to come. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thanks for having me.